I was the guard who watched a queen die, but that's not the part that haunts me. It's what happened before the blade fell. They called her a monster, a traitor, a woman who deserved no mercy. But behind those prison walls, I saw the truth they buried. I heard her last words, held the letter she trusted me with, and still I did nothing. This is not just the story of Marie Antoinette's final days. This is the story of my silence, my guilt, and the moment I realized justice can be the cruelest lie of all. I still remember the first time they handed me the key. "You're on queen duty now," Bruno said, tossing it into my palm. "Try not to tremble." "I'm not afraid," I muttered. Marcel smirked. "You should be." "Not of her, of what she's done." I clenched my jaw. "She's the reason France is burning," I whispered. Bruno laughed under his breath. "Then watch closely, even queens beg in the end." I didn't reply. I followed them down the cold corridor, my boots echoing against the stone. Every step felt heavier than the last. Henri stood by the cell door, silent as always. He glanced at me once, then looked away. "Open it," Bruno ordered. My fingers tightened around the key. I slid it into the lock, hesitated, then turned it. The door creaked open. I expected something grand. Something terrifying. A monster, maybe. Instead, I saw her. She sat on a simple wooden chair, hands resting in her lap. Her dress was plain, worn. Her hair, once famous, hung loose and dull. She looked up at me. Not like a queen. Like a tired woman. "So," Bruno said loudly, stepping inside, "your new guard has arrived." She didn't look at him. Her eyes stayed on me. "Do you hate me too?" she asked softly. The question hit harder than I expected. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. Bruno laughed. "Of course he does. Everyone does." Marcel stepped closer to her. "You hear the people outside? They scream your name every night." She lowered her gaze but said nothing. "Speak," Bruno snapped. "Or has the great queen lost her voice?" I felt something twist in my chest. "Leave her," I said quietly. Bruno turned to me. "What was that?" I said, "Leave her," I repeated louder this time. For a moment the room went still. Marcel raised an eyebrow. "Careful, Antoine. Sympathy is dangerous." "I'm just doing my duty," I replied. Henri finally spoke, his voice calm. "Then do it without speaking." Bruno chuckled. "He'll learn." They stepped back toward the door. "Keep your eyes open," Bruno told me. "She's good at pretending." Marcel added, "Monsters don't always show their teeth." The door shut behind them. Silence filled the room. I stood there, unsure what to do. She spoke again, quieter this time. "You don't look like you hate me." "I don't know you," I said. She gave a faint smile. "That makes you different already." I shifted uncomfortably. "You were a queen. And now?" she asked gently. I hesitated. "Now, you're a prisoner." She nodded. "Yes, that is the truth." Her calmness unsettled me. "You should be angry," I said. "Would it change anything?" she replied. I had no answer. She looked toward the small window. "They tell you I am a monster, don't they?" I crossed my arms. "They say you let people starve." "And do you believe that?" she asked. I paused. "I don't know." She looked back at me, her eyes steady. "That is an honest answer." I exhaled slowly. "I thought you would be different," I admitted. "Different how?" she asked. "Cruel," I said. "Cold." She let out a soft breath. "I am many things, but not what they say." I studied her face, searching for lies. I didn't find any. Outside, distant shouting echoed through the streets. "The people want your death," I said. She closed her eyes briefly. "Yes, I know." "Does that scare you?" She opened them again. "Not as much as it should." I frowned. "Why?" "Because I have already lost everything," she whispered. Her words stayed with me. I looked at her differently now. Not as a queen. Not as a monster. Just a human being. And for the first time, I wasn't sure what to believe anymore. The nights grew longer after that. I found myself waiting for them. "You're quiet tonight," she said as I took my place by the door. "I prefer silence," I replied. She gave a faint smile. "No, you prefer questions." I hesitated, then stepped closer. "Why don't you defend yourself?" She tilted her head slightly. "Would anyone listen?" "That's not an answer," I said. "It is the only one that matters," she replied softly. I exhaled. "They're preparing your trial." "I know. They're calling you a traitor. A monster." She looked down at her hands. "They have been calling me that for a long time." I frowned. Then fight it. She looked up again. And say what? That I loved my children? That I was afraid? That I made mistakes? Her voice didn't rise. It barely held together. No one wants that truth, Antoine. I didn't speak. She continued, quieter now. Do you have a family? I paused. No. You're lucky, she whispered. That doesn't sound like luck. It is, she said. You cannot lose what you never had. Something in her voice made my chest tighten. What were their names? I asked before I could stop myself. Her lips trembled slightly. Louis Charles and Marie Therese. She closed her eyes for a moment. They took them from me, she said. I shifted uncomfortably. Why? Because it hurts me, she answered simply. I swallowed. Do you think they're safe? She didn't answer right away. A mother always hopes, she said finally. Even when hope is all she has left. Her voice cracked. A mother without her children, she whispered, is already dead. I looked away. The silence felt heavier than before. I didn't know, I muttered. You were not meant to, she replied. Footsteps echoed outside. The door opened suddenly. Bruno stepped in grinning. Still talking to her? I'm doing my duty, I said. He laughed. By listening to her lies? She hasn't lied, I snapped. His eyes narrowed. Careful, Antoine. Marcel entered behind him. The people are angry tonight, he said. They want her head sooner. They already have her life, I said. Bruno smirked. Not yet. He turned to her. Enjoy your last days, Your Majesty. She didn't respond. See, he said to me. No pride left. After they left, I felt something boiling inside me. You shouldn't speak to them like that, she said. Why not? I asked. They're wrong. They believe they're right, she replied. That doesn't make it true. No, she said gently. But it makes it powerful. The next day, I found Julian outside the prison gates. You look tired, he said. I am. He studied me. You're still guarding her? Yes. He leaned closer. Then listen carefully. Stay loyal to the people, or you'll fall with her. She's not what they say, I said. Julian scoffed. You've been fooled. I've seen her, I insisted. You've seen what she wants you to see, he replied sharply. I shook my head. No. I've seen her cry. He went silent for a moment. Then he said, that changes nothing. It changes everything, I whispered. That night I returned to my post. She looked at me as I entered. You're troubled, she said. I don't know what to believe anymore, I admitted. She nodded slowly. That is the beginning of truth. I leaned against the wall. Outside they call you evil, I said. And inside, she asked. I looked at her. I don't see a monster, I said quietly. She gave a sad smile. That is why this is dangerous, she whispered. I understood then. Not fully, but enough. I wasn't just guarding her anymore. I was standing between two worlds, and both were pulling me apart. The day of the trial arrived faster than I expected. Move, Bruno ordered, pushing past me. Bring her out. I unlocked the cell. My hands felt heavier than before. It's time, I said quietly. She stood without resistance. I know. As we walked, the noise grew louder. They're waiting, I muttered. They always are, she replied. We entered the courtroom. The air was thick, restless. Stand her there, Marcel said, pointing. I took my place beside her. Voices erupted instantly. She betrayed France. She starved the people. She lived in luxury while we suffered. Each word struck like a blow. I clenched my fist. Silence, someone shouted. It didn't last. She's guilty. She deserves death. I glanced at her. She stood still, her face pale but calm. Do you hear them? I whispered. Yes, she said softly. Does it not anger you? It saddens me, she replied. A man stepped forward, reading charges. Marie Antoinette, accused of treason, corruption, and crimes against the people. More shouting followed. Then came the cruelest accusation. I froze as the words echoed through the room. Even I felt sick hearing it. That's enough, I muttered under my breath. What? Bruno hissed beside me. That's a lie, I said quietly. Careful, he warned. I looked at her. For the first time, her composure cracked. Her eyes filled with pain, not fear but something deeper. Respond, Marcel demanded. The room fell slightly quieter. She took a slow breath. I have been a queen, she began. Her voice was steady, but I could hear it trembling underneath. but I am still a mother. Silence spread across the courtroom. No one shouted. No one moved. Even the judges hesitated. I felt something tighten in my chest. She continued, softer now, I will not answer such accusations, not because I cannot, but because I should not have to. A murmur passed through the crowd. Enough, Marcel said sharply. Proceed. The noise returned, louder than before. Guilty. End this. I wanted to speak. I wanted to stop it. But I stayed silent. The verdict was decided before it began. As we escorted her out, I avoided her eyes. Antoine, she said gently. I looked at her. You did nothing wrong, she added. Her words cut deeper than any accusation. Later I found Marcel outside. You know some of these lies aren't true, I said. He didn't look at me. It doesn't matter. It does, I insisted. He turned sharply. Truth doesn't matter anymore. Only justice. This isn't justice, I whispered. It is what the people need, he replied. No, I said, shaking my head. It's what they've been made to believe. His expression hardened. You're losing your place. Maybe I never had it, I answered. He stepped closer. Be careful, Antoine. Men who doubt don't last long. I held his gaze. And men who lie? He didn't respond. I walked away before he could. My thoughts felt louder than the crowd had been. Everything I believed, everything I was told, it was breaking. For the first time, I understood something I couldn't ignore. I wasn't just watching injustice. I was part of it. And that truth felt heavier than any chain. The order came just before sunset. You'll take the final watch, Marcel said. I frowned. Why me? He studied me carefully. Because I want to see where you stand. I didn't answer. Bruno smirked. Don't disappoint us. I took the keys without another word. When I entered her cell, she was already awake. I was expecting you, she said softly. I closed the door behind me. You knew. Yes, she replied. It's my last night. The words felt heavier spoken aloud. I stood there, unsure what to say. She looked at me for a moment, then asked, What is your name? I hesitated. Antoine, I finally said. She repeated it gently. Antoine. The way she said it made it sound important. Do you think I deserve to die? She asked. The question struck deeper than before. I paused, searching for something certain. I don't know anymore, I admitted quietly. She nodded, almost relieved. That means you still have a heart. I looked away. I'm not sure that's a good thing here. It is the only good thing left, she replied. Silence settled between us. Are you afraid? I asked. She thought for a moment. Yes, but not of death. Then what? Of being forgotten, she said. I swallowed. People won't forget you. They already have, she whispered. They remember a version of me that isn't real. I stepped closer. I see you. She looked at me surprised. Do you? I nodded slowly. More than I should. A faint, sad smile touched her lips. Then I am not completely lost, she said. She reached into her dress and pulled out a folded letter. Her hand trembled slightly as she held it out. If you can deliver this to my daughter, she said. I stared at it. My daughter deserves to hear my voice one last time. My hand didn't move. If anyone finds out, I began. I know, she said softly. It would mean betrayal. The word echoed in my mind. I'm asking you not as a queen, she continued, but as a mother. My fingers twitched. I could feel my heart pounding. Slowly I reached out and took the letter. It felt heavier than it should. Thank you, she whispered. Before I could respond, the door opened. Bruno stepped in, his eyes sharp. What's that? He asked. Nothing, I said quickly, hiding the letter. He stepped closer. Show me. It's nothing important, I repeated. His gaze locked onto mine. Don't forget who you serve, he said coldly. I haven't, I replied. He studied me for a long moment, then smirked. Good. He turned and left. The door shut again. I exhaled slowly. That was dangerous, she said. I know, I replied. You can still return it, she added. I shook my head. No. She looked at me, her eyes filled with something I couldn't name. Why? She asked. Because someone should remember the truth, I said. She closed her eyes briefly. Thank you, Antoine. Later, when the cell grew quiet, I leaned against the wall. I should have felt certain. Instead, my thoughts wouldn't stop. If they find out, I muttered. They won't, I told myself. But doubt crept in anyway. Duty or humanity? The line between them had never felt so thin. I looked at the letter in my hand. "I've already chosen," I whispered. But sleep never came. Not that night. Morning came too quickly. "Get up," Bruno said, banging on the door. "It's time." I was already awake. "I know," I muttered. He smirked. "Good. Try not to lose your nerve today." "I won't," I said, though my voice felt hollow. We entered her cell together. She stood near the wall, calm, waiting. "So this is it," I said quietly. "Yes," she replied. Marcel stepped forward. "Bring her." I moved beside her. "Are you ready?" I asked. She looked at me. "No, but I will walk anyway." We stepped into the corridor. The sound reached us before the light did. Voices. Angry, loud, endless. "They're waiting," I said. "They have been for a long time," she answered. When we reached the cart, Bruno gestured. "Up." She climbed without resistance. I followed, standing close behind her. The gates opened. The streets exploded with noise. "Look at her now. The fallen queen. Where is your crown now?" I clenched my jaw. "Don't listen," I whispered. "I must," she said. "It is my end." The cart began to move. People pushed forward, shouting, spitting. "She deserves worse." Traitor. My heart pounded harder with every step. I glanced at her. She sat still, her hands folded, her face pale but steady. "How can you stay like this?" I asked under my breath. "Because I have nothing left to fight for," she replied. The cart jolted suddenly. She lost her balance for a moment. Without thinking, I stepped forward. "I've got you," I said. My hand reached her arm. Bruno grabbed me hard. "Don't touch her." "She almost fell," I snapped. "She can fall," he said coldly. "It changes nothing." I pulled my arm free. She turned her head slightly toward me. "Thank you." "Antoine," she whispered. Her voice barely reached me over the noise. But I heard it, and it stayed with me. We reached the square. The guillotine stood tall, waiting. The crowd grew louder. "End it. Do it now." My chest felt tight. "This is wrong," I murmured. "No," Marcel said beside me. "This is justice." She stepped down from the cart. Her legs faltered for a moment, but she steadied herself. "Careful," I said instinctively. Bruno shot me a look. I ignored him. We led her forward. Each step felt heavier than the last. The executioner waited. She climbed the steps slowly. I followed close behind. At the top, she turned slightly and stepped on the executioner's foot. She froze. "I'm sorry," she said softly. The man blinked, surprised. "Even now, even here." She showed grace. I felt something break inside me. "This shouldn't happen," I said under my breath. "No one cares what you think," Bruno replied. The executioner moved her into position. "Wait," I almost said. The word caught in my throat. She lay down, her face calm. I wanted to move. I wanted to stop it. Say something, I told myself. But my body wouldn't respond. The blade rose. The crowd fell into a strange silence. My heart pounded so loudly I could hear it. "Antoine," I whispered to myself, "do something." But I didn't. I couldn't. The blade fell. A single moment. A single sound. And it was over. The crowd erupted again. "It's done. Justice." I stood frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. "She's gone," I said quietly. No one answered. No one cared. I looked at the place where she had been. Just moments ago, she was alive. Now, nothing. My hands trembled. "This is what they wanted," Marcel said. I shook my head slowly. "No," I whispered. "This is what we allowed." Bruno laughed. "Get used to it." But I couldn't. I knew something had ended that day. Not just her life. Something inside me. And it would never come back. After her death, the world didn't feel louder. It felt empty. "You should be proud," Julian said, grabbing my shoulder. "Justice is done." I pulled away. Was it justice or revenge? He stared at me. "What?" "You heard me," I said. He frowned. "You've changed." "Maybe I finally see," I replied. "There's nothing to see," he snapped. "She was guilty." "Of everything?" I asked. "Yes," he said firmly. I shook my head. "No, not everything." Julian stepped back, studying me like I was a stranger. "You sound like them now." "Them?" I echoed. "The ones who forget the people," he said. "I didn't forget," I replied. "I just saw something you didn't." "And what's that?" he challenged. "That she was human, I said quietly. He scoffed. That doesn't matter. It should, I whispered. He turned away. You're lost, Antoine. Or maybe I just woke up, I answered. Days passed. Nothing felt right. Bruno, however, seemed stronger than ever. Promotion suits me, he said one morning, adjusting his coat. Power looks good, doesn't it? On some people, I replied. He smirked. Careful. That tone can get you noticed. I already am, I said. Marcel stood nearby, silent. You did well, Bruno told him. The people trust us now. Marcel nodded, but his eyes didn't meet mine. Do they? I asked. Bruno laughed. They cheer, don't they? They screamed for her too, I said. His smile faded slightly. Watch your words. I didn't respond. Soon after, things began to shift. Arrests started again. Not nobles this time. Citizens. Neighbors. Friends. Why him? I asked when I saw a man dragged away. Suspicion, Bruno said simply. That's enough. I pressed. It always is, he replied. I found Marcel later. This isn't what we fought for, I said. He looked tired. It's what it became. You can stop it, I insisted. He shook his head. No one can. Then what was the point? I demanded. He didn't answer. The next day Marcel was gone. Where is he? I asked Bruno. Arrested, he said casually. For what? Does it matter? He replied. I stared at him. You're serious. He leaned closer. This is how power works. I stepped back. That night I couldn't sleep. The silence felt heavier than ever. Then I heard it. A voice. Familiar. Please. I beg you. I followed the sound. It led to the lower cells. Bruno? I said. He looked up at me, his face pale, his confidence gone. Antoine? He whispered. You have to help me. What happened? I asked. They're accusing me, he said quickly. Lies, all lies. I froze. They said the same about her, I replied. His eyes widened. This is different. Is it? I asked quietly. He grabbed the bars. Please. I don't deserve this. The words echoed in my mind. I had heard them before. From her. And no one had listened. Antoine, he begged. Say something. I stood there, silent. Just like I had been before. Footsteps approached. Time, a guard said. No, wait. Bruno shouted. Please. They dragged him away. His voice faded into the distance. I didn't move. I couldn't. Because I finally understood something terrifying. This wasn't justice. It was a cycle. And it never ended. I still have her letter. I keep it hidden, wrapped in cloth, buried beneath everything I own. Why do you keep it? I ask myself sometimes. I already know the answer. Because I never delivered it, I whisper. Years have passed, but that truth hasn't changed. I remember the night I could have done it. Just take it, I told myself back then. Find her daughter. But I didn't move. Tomorrow, I said. There was no tomorrow. Cowardice or fear. I don't know. Maybe both. I sit by the window now, the letter in my hands. Open it, I murmur. My fingers hesitate like they always do. You've read it before, I remind myself. Still it feels heavy. I unfold it slowly. My dear daughter, I read aloud. My voice shakes. Remain strong. Even in darkness, kindness matters. I close my eyes. I remember that night, I say quietly. You trusted me. Her voice echoes in my mind. I'm asking you not as a queen, but as a mother. I grip the paper tighter. I should have helped you, I whisper. Silence answers me. I could have tried, I argue with myself. I could have done something. But I didn't. I hear my own voice from years ago. I've already chosen. I let out a bitter laugh. No. I chose nothing. That was the truth. I chose safety. I chose silence. I failed you, I whisper. The words feel small compared to the weight they carry. I stand and begin pacing. You were not a monster, I say. They were wrong. But saying it now changes nothing. They called it justice, I mutter. I called it duty. I stop. No. I hid behind it. The room feels smaller. I watched it happen, I say louder now. I stood there. My chest tightens. I could have spoken, I add. Even once. But I didn't. I fold the letter carefully. You asked for one thing, I say softly. Just one. And I couldn't give it. I sit down again. Where is she now? I wonder aloud. Does she remember you? There's no answer. There should have been, I say. That was my responsibility. I look at the letter again. I tell your story now, I whisper. Not as a queen. Not as a symbol. But as a human, I continue. A mother. A woman who faced death with more dignity than anyone around her. I see that now, I say. Too late. I lean back, staring at nothing. And me? I ask quietly. The answer comes easily. I was there, I say. The words feel heavier than chains. I watched. I pause. And I did nothing. Silence fills the room. It doesn't leave. It never does. That is my punishment, I whisper. Not death. Not prison. But memory. Every moment. Every choice. Every second I stayed silent. I close my eyes. I remember everything, I say softly. And that is why I will never be free.